Do you think that because you grew up with nothing, that you're somehow behind, or that you can't succeed, or that other people have a leg up on you? Hi, I'm Ralph Henderson. Welcome to the Queen City Leaders Summit. I'm the producer of this year's event. And if you answered yes to any one of those questions, I want you to stop what you're doing right now. And I want you to listen for the next 20 minutes. You're going to hear an interview with a young man by the name of TC Stallings. If you don't know who TC Stallings is, I promise you are in for a treat. But more importantly, I want you to listen to the lessons that TC has learned through the years as he came from nothing and as he persevered through the game of football and now as a Hollywood actor. You're going to be very inspired, but more importantly, I believe you're going to be encouraged and equipped to do what it is you're designed to do, just like TC did. Enjoy this interview. TC, welcome to the Queen City Leaders Summit. It's so great to have you.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
It has been a few years. I know 5 years ago you were in Charlotte. You were filming a movie, which ultimately became the #1 movie in the country, and that's exciting, and we will get to that in a few minutes.
Oh, man.
What we're going to talk about today is leadership. And, you know, what this audience is listening to, they're listening to leaders and aspiring leaders and people in leadership development. And they're hearing from all different angles. But I think your angle is going to be unique, and I'm excited about that. And I want to talk about your walk. And specifically, I want to talk about it as it started in your college days. Can you maybe give us a little bit of background of what happened up to this time in Louisville that you had this transformation as it relates to leadership? And then we'll dive into specifically what happened at the college.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, thanks for having me. I think the most important thing about, that time period for me, I would back all the way up to how I even came into this world. Because I came into this world, I always like to say, as an underdog, with all the things that are stacked against you. And I didn't have a father figure in my life at the time. I lived in a low-income neighborhood. I lived in a dangerous neighborhood. I lived in a violent neighborhood. My family unit wasn't the tightest. And the reason, I say all these things isn't for sympathy or anything at all. It's to paint that picture of all the things being stacked against you, because that's going to come into play later in the story and in my life. But that's the way I grew up, and I wasn't even taught things like achievement, goal setting, none of those things right off the bat. That kind of wasn't the standard in my family. My family standard was just to simply survive, don't get killed, and that will be good enough, And so that's kind of how I grew up. But what my problems taught me was how to dream and how to have goals. And that became what became my goal setting strategy, is just looking around and seeing what I hated, seeing what I didn't want to become. Wanting to take care of my mother, wanting to be a chain breaker in the family. So all my goals and all my dreams and all my desires, and even the motivation that you need to achieve it, all you had to do was look around. All you had to do was come home and see that there's been a drive-by through your house, and you want to get out of that neighborhood. You want to get your mom out of that neighborhood. So those were the motivations. And then I would watch TV and see everything that I wanted to be. You see these pro football players, you see these college football players, and I said, I'm going to get there. You see them buying houses for their mom. Organically, I had everything I needed to push me, and I would see it every day of my life, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years, all the way through. And so for me, I was like, well, I need to find out what is that thing that I'm good at? What is that, thing that I'm going to use as a vehicle to get there? And it just so happened to turn out to be football. And so I picked up that ball and gave it everything I had.
And you're talking about something that's near and dear to the heart of a lot of the guys in the audience right now. And that is, a lot of us fall into that, well, I'm not good enough, or I didn't have enough, or I just, I'm not strong enough. And, as well as I do, there are guys right now sitting in this audience that are going through that. And, you've painted a really nice picture of the fact that you came from there too. How do you inspire them for just a few minutes?
I can't separate my faith from my real life because I live my real life through my faith. Here's a cool thing though. At that point, I didn't even have the type of faith I have right now. At that point, I was just at the mercy of life. Like, external factors would always dictate things to me, meaning, I mean, I'm the youngest of six. I can't make any decisions for myself. So I am a product of my environment. I am under the rule of my environment. If my mother moved somewhere, I had to go. So I didn't have a whole lot of control. There's this word that I love to use that is just so cool in situations like this, and it's called grace. And the other thing is purpose. So I'll say two words: grace and purpose. By God's grace, none of those things stopped me from becoming from getting on the road to becoming who God wanted me to be. And my purpose that he created for me didn't call for me to fall victim to those things. So I know a lot of people would love to jump on you guys with a lot of anecdotal answers. I will tell you this: you have no control of your beginnings like that. You are at the mercy of grace and purpose. Not so much the environment, not so much the external factors. They can be there all they want. But the drive-by didn't kill me. Praise God for his grace. The impoverished situation didn't stop me from creating, goals and dreams and desires and working hard and finding out what I was good at, because that's God's grace and his purpose for my life. So I will tell you right now that there is God's grace for you, and there is a purpose that he has for you, which, if you put your trust in that and just not keep your eyes so much on everything that's in your way, you will focus more so on the journey in front of you. That's why I got this tag I always go by called Eyes Fixed. I fix my eyes on what God has for me, and I don't even look this way. You know how horses wear the blinders? That's because they're running a race against people that's trying to stop them. They're running a race against other horses that want to beat them. And they wear the blinders so they can't see how the other races are running, because it'll just distract them and they go looking this way or looking that way. But with those blinders on, they can only see where they want to go. And so I focus on the grace and purpose that God has for me. And he put me in the race, and I'm sure he'll equip me to run this race. And so that's how I do it. That would be my encouragement to you guys.
Every man and woman in this audience needs to know they have that grace and they have that purpose. And we do have the ability to persevere, because, with every good trial comes perseverance. With perseverance comes character, and out of character, we have hope. So that's what I see in you. And that's a great segue into what happened to you at the University of Louisville. Now, I can tell the audience, if you want to know more about this story, there is a documentary out there called Counter 24.
24 counter. Yep.
24 counter.
That's right.
And you need, if you get an opportunity, you need to see 24 counter. It will explain this story. But briefly, if you can, just tell the audience what happened. What was that transformation that you went through in college, and what happened as a result of that?
That kid went to college with a chip on his shoulder, a huge chip. So you got this chip. I felt like an underdog. I have a goal of wanting to get my mother and my family out of the ghettos that we were in. I want to make something for myself. I was the first male in my family to graduate high school, and then I was the first first person in my family to go to college. So I had a lot of that going for me. I would consider myself successful already at that point, but it was what I was taking with me in terms of what's responsible for the success that I kind of didn't have the right perspective of just yet. In my mind, it was me, and it was my drive, and there's a little bit of luck, and that's kind of what I went into it with. As far as my faith, I didn't have that the way I needed to have it. It was God, all that stuff, he just went along for the ride. God was my genie. God was, hey, I rubbed the genie and said, I want to get a scholarship in it. And, so being that, I always say this, and this is something great for business. The worst thing you can do is succeed at doing the wrong thing. When the wrong thing works, it's so hard to do the right stuff. Like, when irresponsibility and laziness works and you get what you want anyway, you won't be a person that is more proactive, and all the things they tell you to do, because the lazy stuff's working. So for me, that's kind of how it was. I was making headway. I was achieving all these great things, and I wasn't even really hard, fast on my faith. Jesus was not the Lord of my life. I didn't even talk about that kind of stuff. He was a religion, a habit. I get to college, and to make this story just knot it up, I just had somebody who really knew what it took to be a true Christ follower call me out on my faith. And when he called me out, I studied with him, and I kind of made a whole 180 about how I treated the Lord. I took my career and I put that behind Jesus and put him in first place where he belonged. Now I'm prepared to live life the way he wanted me to live. Problem is, and some of you probably know this, when you make a change like that, it affects people around you. So everybody who was used to the old TC had a problem a little bit with the new TC. And I started to face challenges from those who wasn't on my level and didn't believe what I believe. And it came in the form of someone that appeared to have control over my success. And when that happened, I was given an ultimatum. Either get with the program, and I'm talking about the coaches at my college, get with the program, chill with all this, you better than everybody, this Jesus stuff. Because sometimes your mere presence can affect other people, all the coarse joking and all the stuff. I'm not doing that no more. So now I'm a little bit of a downer for the moment in the meetings and things like that. So people, my coach just hit me with an ultimatum. Hey, chill with that, or you ain't going to be playing. And in life, man, when I'm thinking about, I'm trying to help, remember those goals come back to me, my mom, my family. By that time I was married or getting ready, I was engaged, and I wanted to start a family, and just, you're weighing these things. And what hit me was a scripture. In the Bible, he says, if you deny me before man, I'll deny you before the Father. But if you honor me before man, then I'll honor you before the Father. I chose to honor him, and that coach hit back with all the persecution you could ever want. And so when you watch the documentary, you're just going to see that I was faced with decisions about being who God called me to be, being myself, being, sticking to my values, sticking to my beliefs, no matter, the size of the check, the temptation to compromise what I really, really want to do, what I really know I'm called to do. That can be rough when you think about what you're going to lose. But I felt like what I ultimately was going to lose was a favor of God, and I didn't want that. So that's a brief summation of what you will see in this story, and I think you all will be inspired by it. But I can just tell you this, the choice I made will be one that will last with me a lifetime, and I'm still living by it right now.
You hit on two great things. One is something I hear all the time with professional speakers. As a producer, I heard a mentor say to someone one time, he said, you know what your biggest problem is, to a pretty good presenter. And they said, what is that? He said, you're pretty good. And so you've settled on average. And right. And I think that's what happens to us in life, whether it's sports or speaking or what have you. We have natural abilities. Mm-hmm. And if we're not careful, we'll rest on average because everybody tells us we're good at whatever that is. And the fact that you, and I'm going to take this to the second point that you made really clear, you took that over to your, why am I doing this? That's right. You thought about your mom, you thought about your fiance, and you were like, no, I know I'm a good football player, but I want to be a great football player because good football players are average or they're mediocre, and great football players take care of their moms, take care of their families. And that's what I saw in the documentary. And that's what I see in you. And those are the things I want to resonate on this audience. And I want to leave them with one final note on the documentary, and that is when he said, when your quarterback looks at you and says, let's go, Tony, ace right, 24 counter.
Yeah, and boy, I like I said, when y'all see this, man, everything that led up to that point, that's why I call the film 24 counter. I go to my childhood and I bring you all the way up to that moment when he called my play. Man, when life calls your play, you just got to be ready to run it. I knew 24 counter like the back of my hand. But all the thoughts that were going through my head is like, don't mess this up. Don't, and you had to run that play. But, man, when my number got called, like I said, God had prepared me for that moment. Life, I was ready. And that's all you got to do is be ready. And so why be good when you can be great? Why be good when you can be better? And why be better when you can be the best? I want to maximize my talent. All that sets you up for is a life of regrets. You'll look back and be like, dang, 75% was working, but man, what would 99 to 100% would have done?
That's right. No, and that's what I like about that. And it is the fact that everyone has that ability. We're all equipped to run that play, whatever that play is in our lives.
That's right.
So now take us from that moment to the last 10, 20 years that you've gone through, because I know, like I said at the beginning of the segment, you were here in Charlotte, North Carolina. You filmed a movie called War Room that ultimately became the #1 movie in the country. So now here you are out on the West Coast. You're dealing with all that comes with Hollywood and the movies and what have you. So take us from college to where you've been since then and what you're going through.
Oh man, that's a great question, because here I am, I'm playing college football great. I'm on course to achieve my ultimate goal of getting to the NFL, taking care of my family. The NFL draft comes, I don't get drafted. And I'm really, really shocked, because everything in the papers was saying that I would. This is one of those first times where I felt like the hard work isn't paying off. And when that happens, you almost start to see, like, is it worth it? Well, for me, I'm like, it's absolutely worth it. Again, I think about my goals, dreams, desires, or whatever. So you keep trying to work out for these teams. But this is where I started to make some really bad decisions. And the bad decisions was to just put all my eggs in one basket, not having any kind of pivot plan, not having any kind of – it was almost reckless, because wherever I saw a workout in any city, I'd go. And I'm like, I'm fast. I'll run the – you always think it's going to work out, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it has to be in balance. Like, you got to do this smart. And so I go to Cleveland, I go to Buffalo, I go, Indianapolis, I'm running. I remember Peyton Manning walked past me in Indianapolis. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely making this team right now. He's going to be handing me the ball. And it's just all of these times. None of these teams call me back, and I'm watching everybody else make it. And then you get upset, you get envious. Well, the next thing I know, I can't even afford to live my life, because I haven't been doing anything else. I refuse to go take a job, because you can't work 9 to 5 and still be prepared for an NFL workout. I got to be on the track. I got to be running. I got to be lifting. I made the choice all in. I got all my life to do some job I hate. I'm going to get – so what you listen to this and you're probably like, man, that's the kind of drive you got to have. But, man, I don't know what else to call it, but you can't have dumb drive. You can't have reckless ambition. You got to have a plan. So for me, what ended up happening was I got to the point to where – I had to go live with my mom, with my family. I got a daughter now, and I had to go live, and I had to kind of reset. So I left college early to get my degree. I left college early to go to the NFL. When all that didn't work out, I made the plan to go back, and I finished my degree. And I got my degree, and now I got the two things running linear. I'm either going to make it with my degree, or I'm going to keep doing this football until the wheels fall off. Well, this is where God shifted my passions. In 2008, I go to see the movie Fireproof. And just to make a long story short, I saw that movie and felt like, hey, I can do that. I'm looking in this theater. All these men and women are crying and talking about fixing marriages. This movie has power. This is crazy. And I had already dabbled. Those who know me know I dabbled in acting a little bit. So I'm like, I think I know what I want to do. If this football thing don't work out, I want to act like I did when I was a kid. I'm like, this. I said, who made this movie? My wife said, looks like we're looking at the credits, the Kendrick brothers. Kendrick brothers. Okay, I'm going to go pray, and I'm gonna say, Lord, I want to do this. Let's just make sure I'm not a prisoner of the moment. Don't want to have no dumb ambition. Are you calling me to act? Because my heart is thumping through my chest. If so, I want to work with the Kendrick brothers. A year later, I'm working with the Kendrick brothers. And my first role was Courageous, in the movie Courageous. Whole another interview for a whole another day how I found those guys, but I tracked them down and I got the shot.
Excellent.
So then the next thing was to pray about what to do with that. I had learned to kind of walk through everything with a plan now. Prayed through it, and I'm like, I don't really know what to do with this. I'm in a movie. I'm on the big screen, but, I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm running a personal training business. I don't know what to do. I get a phone call from an agent in Hollywood. Now, this don't happen, man. This don't happen, y'all. I get a phone call from a Hollywood agent that literally said, we saw Courageous. I just want to tell you, if you come out to Hollywood, you already got one big hurdle knocked over, and that's called representation. We will represent you. So now it was just a matter of, do I dismantle my entire life and everything that I got working here for that? prayed about it, and I had enough indications that I should, whether it be people saying that, you know, we're behind you. My wife was a big player in this. She was like, okay, if you're going to do this, you better make sure you pray about it. We make a pro and con list. The con was like 11 to 12 items deep. The pro was one thing. If I make it, I can show as a Christian that you don't have to get dirty to make it, because I'm going to go out there and I'm not going to compromise my faith. And the cons were the 8 million things, like where you're going to live, you don't, you know, what are you going to do with your business now, you know, all these different things you got. And I can just tell you, and make a long story short, over the next several weeks, the Lord just knocked down all the cons. Let's just say that. I got people telling me, don't worry about the sessions you owe me. We want to see you make this happen. Someone calls me and say, hey, we're in the area looking for business. If you should leave, we would like to assume your lease. Like, all these things started to happen. So then I went out there on faith, 3 years later, and I came out to Hollywood with the shirt on my back, my car, and my family. Nothing, no home, no anything. There, we have to fill in the gaps and talk about the connective tissue to all of this. But let's just say 2012, I came out here. 3 years later, I woke up in the #1 movie in America. I had agent, I had managers, and I was the #1 actor 3 years later in a movie about Jesus and prayer, which is what I used to even get out here. So, man, I told that story. I really glossed over a lot, but
that's great. And I hate that we're out of time, but I got to tell you, if this audience isn't inspired right now, they are asleep. And I can't thank you enough for what you've talked about. So if they want to see more of you, we've talked about the documentary, we've talked about War Room. You brought up Courageous, which is another great movie. They can see you. Is there any other way they can maybe see something that you're doing currently, or how would they be able to see what's happening in your life right now?
Well, from what I know, usually we have about a couple of minutes to, promote our stuff. You know what? I will tell you this. My website is tcstallings.life. You go there, you'll see anything you need. But I don't want to miss this out. But I want to talk about you, and I just want to tell you, out here in Hollywood, all I can tell you is the best thing that I've done is stick to being the man that God has called me to be. Never compromising who I am, never compromising my faith, my belief, the dreams that I believe he gave me. I stick to those things. And there's constantly pressure coming at me to try to have me abandon that. By not doing that, I have been able to achieve everything God has want me to be. So if you look at anything that I've done, the one thing I want to stand out is this dude don't compromise. He stays behind the Lord in prayer. And at the end of the day, I'm going to be face to face with God. And I want Jesus to say, hey, well done. You didn't compromise. And that has been the key to my success. And it has been the painful moments, because it ain't never easy, but I call that ordained pain, because I've stuck on my purpose. And I don't want the pain that we get from the decisions we make on our own. We don't want that. If there's going to be pain in my life, I want it to be a part of the purpose God has called for me, because it's going to grow you. It's ordained pain. It's meant to happen. It's like going to the gym and working out. You sign up to hurt, but the muscles come, and that's what you signed up for. So I just want to encourage you with that. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks for having me here. And thanks again. And just keep me in your prayers as I continue to just live uncompromised and do what God has called me to do.
Well, I got to tell you, brother, you can count on all of that. Thank you for believing in yourself, for truly being tenacious in what you felt God wanted you to do, and just being real to that. And if you can survive in football and you can survive in Hollywood, you've got the vote of this entire audience. And I look forward to how God's going to bless you from here on out. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, brother. God bless you guys. I ain't done, and neither are you. Let's go.
Wow. Didn't I tell you? Very inspiring. But more importantly, I hope it encouraged you with the principles that TC had in just being tenacious in applying what he knows he's designed to do. And you heard what he said. He's not done, and he hopes you aren't either. I encourage you, look deep inside, find out what you're made to do, and be tenacious. I look forward to hearing and seeing what that is. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to meeting you. Enjoy the rest of the show.